So, what if I told you that one of the most critical roles in the tech world involves way less coding than you think and a whole lot more detective work? The job title is Business Analyst, but if you're just picturing someone glued to a spreadsheet all day, you are missing the best part of the story. In this explainer, we are going to lay out the entire roadmap to becoming a BA, from what the job actually is, all the way to how you can get hired. Let's dive in. Okay, first things first, let's clear up a huge misunderstanding. So many people get data analysts and business analysts mixed up. Think about it like this. A data analyst might tell you, hey, customer cancellations went up by 20% last quarter. That's the what. A business analyst is the person who steps in to figure out the why. Maybe a clunky new app update is frustrating people. And then they map out the how, saying, okay, we need to fix the update and add a feedback button. See the difference? One spots the fever, the other diagnoses the illness and writes the prescription.
We've broken this whole journey down into 5 simple parts for you. We'll start with what the role is really like day to day, cover the tools you'll need and the process you'll follow. Then we'll get into the super important soft skills, and we'll wrap it all up with a step-by-step roadmap to get you into your first role.
First up, the reality of the role. Let's really get to the heart of why this job even exists and what truly drives a business analyst's work. You know, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. A business analyst is a bridge. It's the perfect metaphor. On one side of the river, you've got your business stakeholders. They speak the language of profit, loss, and customer pain. On the other side, you've got the brilliant technical teams, speaking in code, servers, and databases. The BA is that crucial bridge in the middle, acting as a translator, making sure the right problem gets the right solution without anything getting lost in translation.
And because they're that bridge, they naturally become something really powerful, a change agent. Their job isn't just to observe or report, it's to actively drive change. Now, sometimes that change is a flashy new piece of software, for sure, but it could just as easily be fixing an internal process that's wasting hundreds of work hours or rewriting a confusing policy that's making customers angry. They find the friction points in a business and then they engineer a way to smooth them out. So that leads to a really big question, right? If this whole role is about being a translator and an agent of change, what is the single most important skill they need to have? You might guess it's coding, or maybe data modeling, or even project management, but you'd be wrong.
The most vital skill is not technical at all. It's called requirement elicitation. Now, I know that sounds super corporate and jargony, but all it really means is being a detective. It's the art of finding the real problem. See, when a stakeholder says, I need a new report, a junior BA just goes and builds the report. But a great BA asks, why? Why do you need this report? What decision will you make with it? They keep digging until they uncover the root cause. The request for a report is just a symptom. The actual disease might be that the sales team is buried in manual data entry. A BA's job is to find the disease, not just treat the symptom.
Now, even though you're a detective, you still need your toolkit. Sherlock Holmes had his magnifying glass, right? That brings us to section 2, the essential BA toolkit. These are the foundational hard skills you gotta have.
And the good news here is you do not need to be a coding prodigy. But you do need to be really comfortable in 4 key areas. You need to know your way around Excel, especially things like pivot tables and XLOOKUPs to slice up data. You need some basic SQL to be able to pull information directly from a database. You absolutely need visualization tools like Tableau or PowerBI to tell stories with that data. And finally, you have to be good with documentation tools like Jira and Confluence, because that's where the plans get made and the work gets tracked. And this quote right here, it just nails why those visualization skills are so important. You could do the most genius analysis in Excel, but if you show up to a meeting and slap a giant spreadsheet on the screen, you've already lost. Your stakeholders, your executives, they want to see the story. They want to see the trend. They want that aha moment in about 5 seconds. A great dashboard doesn't just show data, it gives answers.
Okay, so we know who a BA is and the tools in their belt, but how do they actually, analyze the business? This isn't just guesswork. There's a structured, repeatable process they follow.
The whole BA lifecycle really comes down to a 3-step dance. Step 1 is elicitation. That's the detective work we talked about, the interviews, the workshops. This is where you do a gap analysis, which is just a fancy way of saying you figure out the distance between how things are now and how we want them to be. Step 2 is documentation, turning all those human conversations into a concrete plan. And finally, step 3 is modeling, where you create pictures and diagrams to make sure everybody is picturing the same thing.
And during that documentation step, you'll work with a few key types of documents. The BRD, or Business Requirements document. That's like your 30,000-foot view. What does the business need to achieve?
The FRD, or Functional Requirements document, zooms in on how a system should behave. But honestly, my favorite, and the one you'll see all the time, is the user story. It frames everything from a human perspective. As a customer, I want to save my payment info so that I can check out faster next time. It's simple, it's clear, it's powerful.
And there is nothing, nothing that makes the case for change better than a good business process model. You start by drawing out the as-is process, how things work today. And let's be honest, it often looks like a plate of spaghetti. Then, right next to it, you draw the to-be process, the clean, streamlined future you're proposing. When you put those two pictures side by side, especially using things like swim lane diagrams that show who does what, the need for change becomes impossible to ignore. It's how you get everyone nodding their heads and saying, yes, let's do that.
All right, now we're getting to the secret sauce, the part of the job that's so often overlooked, but it's where a good BA becomes a truly great one. We're talking about the art of soft skills, and it's where you will spend the vast majority of your time. Take a look at this breakdown. It might actually shock you. While those technical skills are your ticket to the game, they only make up about 20% of the job. The other 80%, that's all people. It's managing stakeholders, it's negotiating priorities, it's presenting your findings, and it's just listening. This role is not about being the best person with a spreadsheet, it's about being the best communicator in the room.
And that 80% really comes down to a trinity of skills. First, there's active listening. And I mean really listening, hearing the hesitation or the concern that isn't being said out loud. Second is negotiation. The business wants a rocket ship, but the budget only allows for a car. Your job is to help them meet in the middle and build an amazing electric sports car. And third, presentation. You have to be able to take a really complex idea and make it sound simple, clear, and compelling.
And when it comes to negotiation, one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal is the Moscow method. It is a super simple framework that forces everyone to be realistic about what's important. You get all the key people in a room, and you sort every single request into one of 4 buckets: what the project must have, what it should have, what it could have, and, just as importantly, what it won't have, at least for now. It magically turns a heated argument into a logical conversation about what truly matters.
All right, we have covered the what, the why, and the how of being a BA. Now for the section you've probably been waiting for, how you can become one. This is our final section, your career roadmap, a straightforward 4-step plan to get you hired. The plan is simple, but you've got to commit to it. Step 1, get knowledge. Read the books the pros read. Step 2, get certified. This proves you speak the language. Step 3, and please do not skip this one, build a portfolio. You have to show employers what you can do, not just tell them. And finally, step 4, master the interview, so you can bring it all home.
So where do you begin? For knowledge, there is one book that stands above all the rest, the BABOK Guide. That stands for the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. It is literally the industry Bible. For certification, the absolute best place for a beginner to start is with the ECBA. It doesn't require any previous BA experience, and it sends a clear signal to hiring managers that you're serious about this career.
Okay, let's talk about the interview. You've done the reading, you've got the certificate, you're in the hot seat. You are almost guaranteed to be asked some version of this question. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder. How you answer this one question can be the difference between an offer and a rejection. So, how do you nail it?
The secret is to structure your answer around the 2 pillars of great business analysis: data and empathy. Don't waste time complaining about how difficult the person was. Start with the data. Show how you used facts and evidence to understand their perspective and to support your own recommendations. Then, pivot to empathy. Explain how you listened to their concerns, how you made them feel heard, and how you worked with them to find a solution that worked for everyone. Answering that way proves you're not just an analyst, you're a collaborator and a problem solver. And that really brings us full circle. Because at the end of the day, mastering this role isn't about building the most complex model or the fanciest chart. It's about being the person who can walk into a complicated situation with all these competing voices and priorities and just understand. It's about being the person who understands the room the best.